Hello sports fans, welcome to Super Sports Central. Today we will be going over everything you need to know to fill out your bracket, all my tips, and I'm going to be filling out my bracket along with you. So, here is the bracket. There's obviously 68 teams, as I'm sure you know. So, just going through round by round, and just, we're going to go left all the way down, then right all the way down, and keep going like that. Because I prefer to do it that way, because otherwise for me, then I don't want to have myself thinking, now that would be a really good matchup, knowing who I already have coming out of something like the West. So starting in the West, we have Gonzaga, Georgia State. One seeds almost never lose. They've lost once in 144 times. So I have all the one seeds winning. And I'll do Baylor and Kansas once we scroll down. So first 8-9 game, we have Boise State against Memphis. This was a very tough game for me. Boise State won the Mountain West, and Memphis. They swept Houston in the AAC regular season, but then lost them in the AAC championship. I still think Memphis can win this game, and I still think they will. Next game, we have Yukon against New Mexico State. So people love to pick 12-5 upsets. I'm not against that. I just don't think it will happen here. Yukon had a great season, and I think they're going to advance. Next up, we have 4-seeded Arkansas against 13-seeded Vermont. Another upset could be brewing here. I don't think so. I think the combination of J.D. Note and Jalen Williams for Arkansas is just too good to lose in the first round, and I have Arkansas advancing. Next up, we have our first 6-11 matchup and our first 4 game. So we have Rutgers against Notre Dame in the first 4. The winner of that game will get the 11 seed and play Alabama. So now here is where I see our first upset. Rutgers, I think they have the potential. I think they beat Notre Dame. And I think they come and play Alabama and beat them. I think their defense is really good. And I think they're going to get the upset here. So my first, technically second, but first major upset here. Next up, we have 3-seeded Texas Tech against 14-seeded Montana State. Texas Tech's a great team, and I think they're going to get the win here. Next up, we have another game that could be an upset. This is very tough. Michigan State against Davidson. So, I like Michigan State in this game. It was a tough game. I think Michigan State is very underrated here. I think they're still a very good team. However, I think if there wasn't so many good teams this year, they could definitely be a little bit higher. They've also lost some games that they shouldn't have lost. Davidson, they just lost to Richmond in the Atlantic 10 final, but I'm going Michigan State. And last, we have Duke against CS Fullerton. I don't see Duke ending Coach K's career with a loss as a 2-seed. Next up, we have Baylor against Norfolk State. As I mentioned before, 1 seeds just about never lose. Next up, we have another very tough 8-9 matchup. We have North Carolina against Marquette. So Marquette has shown glimpses of what they can be, but they've never consistently been that extremely good team. We saw them on their winning streak, but they're only an average team. I'm going to go North Carolina. Next up, we have St. Mary's against the winner of Wyoming against Indiana. So, St. Mary's is a good team. They beat Gonzaga. However, I think they could run into trouble here, and I think they will run into trouble, and they will get upset by the winner of Wyoming, Indiana. Next game, we have UCLA against Akron. UCLA is a dangerous team when healthy. They could definitely look to make a deep tournament run like last season. Akron is coming off a MAC championship win. I think the Bruins are going to get the win here over Akron. Next up, we have 6-seeded Texas against 11-seeded Virginia Tech. So, a lot of people, Virginia Tech is a very, very popular upset pick here, just like Georgetown was over Colorado last season. Both teams needed to win their conference tournament to get in. I think Virginia Tech will not get the win here. I think it will be Texas. I think Texas is a very good team. They just haven't quite clicked yet. Virginia Tech has a lot of potential for the upset here, but I don't see it. I think it's a lot of hype like the Georgetown over Colorado was, and then Georgetown ended up losing. Next game, we have Purdue against Yale. So Yale won the Ivy League title, and Purdue lost to Iowa in the Big Ten title game. Did I say Iowa League? I meant Ivy League. I don't know which I said. But I think Purdue easily wins this game, and it could be really, really one-sided if they don't turn the ball over like they did against Iowa. Next up, we have another very tough 7 against 10 matchup. We have Murray State against San Francisco. Murray State went undefeated in conference play. I think San Francisco could give them a good challenge, but I think Murray State's going to get the win. And Kentucky against St. Peter's. I have Kentucky. Okay, so that's the first round predictions for the West and the East. Now we're going to go up to the predictions in the South. So we have Arizona against the winner of Wright State against Bryant. I already picked Arizona in that game. Next up, we have Seton Hall against TCU. This was tough. We saw what TCU could do when they beat Kansas last week? 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, last week was Champ Week. 2 weeks ago. I think it could be close. I think TCU comes out on top. Next up, we have Houston against UAB. So again, people like to pick a 12-5 upset. Houston's been playing very well. They defeated Memphis, who they recently lost to. I like Houston to avoid the upset, but I do think it will be close. Next up, we have 4-seeded Illinois taking on 13-seeded Chattanooga. So I think this will be a very, very close game. Illinois was recently upset by Indiana in the Big Ten in the Big Ten tournament. I don't see them losing, but I think it will be a very, very close game. Next up, we have Colorado State, Michigan. So this is one of the toughest games for me. So 6-11 upsets happen all the time. I think it could happen here. I think Michigan is a good team. I think Colorado State's also a very good team. I think Colorado State will survive the upset scare, and I think it will be a very close game. All time in the 6 seed against 11 seed in the bracket, 6 seeds hold the advantage 104-60. So I'm going to go Colorado State. Next game we're going to be predicting, we have Tennessee against Longwood. Tennessee is the SEC champion, and I think they could definitely be a 2 seed if they beat a better team. Like if they played Auburn and beat them in the SEC title game, they'd definitely be a 2 seed. I'm going to go Tennessee defeating Longwood. Next up, we have banged up Ohio State against Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago is a very experienced team. They have a lot of tournament experience. Ohio State, as I mentioned, they're very banged up, got a lot of injuries. I'm going Ramblers here. Whoops, Ramblers. Okay. Next we have Villanova against Delaware. Villanova, I don't see them losing here. Next up, we have 1 seed Kansas against the winner of Texas Southern. So we have Kansas playing the winner of Texas Southern against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Obviously Kansas here. San Diego State against Creighton. Another very tough game. Creighton could get the upset here. They made a big run to the Big East final here last week in the Big East tournament. I like them to get the upset win here over San Diego State. Next up, we have Iowa against Richmond. This could be an upset here. Richmond upset Davidson in the Atlantic 10 final, but I do think Iowa comes away with the win. They're red hot right now. Just beat Purdue on a roll. I don't see it ending. Next up, we have Providence against South Dakota State. I've seen upsets here. I've seen people pick upsets. I don't think it will happen. I think Providence gets the win. Next up, we have LSU Iowa State. So here is my 6-11 upset. I have Iowa State winning. LSU just fired head coach Will Wade. Lots of uncertainty in the program. I'm going Iowa State to get the upset. Next up, we have Wisconsin against Colgate. I think Wisconsin gets the win here. I don't see them losing this game as a 3 seed. Next game, second to last game of the first round, we have USC against Miami. Very tough game. I think USC does get the win here, advancing past Miami, but I think it will be very close. And Auburn, Jacksonville State. On the selection show, they were saying Jacksonville State is not the typical 15 seed. They could give Auburn trouble. Don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think Auburn still gets the win. Alright, back up to fill out the West second round. We have Gonzaga against Memphis. Gonzaga's too good to lose here in the second round, and I have them advancing. Yukon against Arkansas. So, this, I'm truly torn. I think Arkansas's a very good team. I think Yukon's a very good team. I'm gonna go Yukon, but I would not be shocked at all if Arkansas gets the win. Just because I think they have a very good team. We saw them knock off both the really good SEC teams, actually all three of them, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Auburn. I'm going Yukon, but I would not be shocked if Arkansas wins that game. Next game, we have the winner of Rutgers against Notre Dame against Texas Tech. Texas Tech's too good to lose here. I have Texas Tech advancing. I think that team, either Rutgers or Notre Dame, specifically Rutgers, I think they could maybe make it to the Elite Eight. But I don't see it happening. Next up, we have Michigan State against Duke. Rematch of the Elite Eight in 2019 when Zion Williamson was on Duke. I don't think this is the last game of Coach K's career. I think it lasts at least another game with Duke defeating Michigan State this time. I'm sure, as you recall, we had Michigan State defeating Duke when they played in 2019. Next game, we have Baylor against North Carolina. I think the defending champion Baylor Bears get the win here. North Carolina did beat Duke. I think that they have a lot of potential for an upset here. I just don't see it happening. Next up, we have the winner of Wyoming against Indiana against UCLA. So a lot of people, I think, are sleeping on UCLA. We saw their run last year. All their starters are back. I think they could definitely make another deep tournament run, and I do think they get past the 12 seed here. Next up, we have Texas against Purdue. Great game, but I think Purdue gets a close win. And Kentucky against Murray State. I've seen Murray State upsets here. I don't think it will happen. I think Kentucky's too good to lose to Murray State. Back up to Arizona against TCU. Arizona's a very good team to lose, and they're too good to lose here. Arizona advances. Houston, Illinois. The Illini lost in the second round last year, and Houston made the Final Four. Ironically, they're in the same region again. I think Illinois gets the win here, knocking out Houston. Next up, we have Colorado State against Tennessee. Tennessee, I think they're going to get the win here. I don't think it will be easy, but I don't think it will be a blowout. I think it will be maybe somewhere around a 10-point game in favor of Tennessee. And next game, we have Loyola Chicago against Villanova. So could the Ramblers make another run? They could. But I think as long as Colin Gillespie's healthy and Villanova as a team is healthy, they're going to be a very hard team to beat. Villanova advances. Next up, we have Kansas against Creighton. I think Kansas gets the win. I think they're too talented to lose to Creighton here. Next up, we have Iowa against Providence. Tough game. Iowa has a really high-powered offense. They've been scoring tons of points. I don't think Providence could keep up with them. They can't make the amount of shots they will. Iowa upsets Providence. Next up, we have Iowa State against Wisconsin. It could be an upset. I don't think so. Wisconsin's got the advantage having this game be in Milwaukee. Wisconsin gets the win. Auburn against USC. Great matchup. Specifically player-on-player matchup. Jabari Smith against Isaiah Mobley. Great game. I think Auburn gets the win here. As we move on to the Sweet 16, back up the West, Gonzaga against Yukon. I think Gonzaga's too much for Yukon to handle, and Gonzaga wins. Texas Tech Duke. Could this be the final game of Coach K's career? I think it will be. I think Texas Tech gets the win, ending his career. As the Duke head coach, Texas Tech knocks out Duke. Next up, we have Baylor against UCLA. As I said, UCLA is a very dangerous team when healthy. I'm going to pick UCLA, assuming they're healthy here. I think they could beat Baylor, because Baylor, they also have a lot of injuries. I think UCLA gets the win. Next up, this game has been the hardest game for me to predict in the tournament. Purdue, Kentucky. Two amazing front courts. With Oscar Tshiebwe, Keon Brooks for Kentucky. And then you got Zach Edey and Trayvon, I think his name's Travion Williams for Purdue. So it comes down to which guards are going to play better. Jaden Ivey for Purdue, one of the best in the country. I think Purdue's guards are better and more reliable, but my gut tells me Kentucky. So I'm going to go with my gut here. I think Kentucky gets the win. Next up, we have Arizona against Illinois. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if Illinois gets the upset win here, but I'm gonna go Arizona here to advance to the Elite Eight to play the winner of this next game, Tennessee Villanova. Very close game. Battle of the guards of the two teams, I should say. I think Villanova gets the win. Next up, we have Kansas against Iowa. I could see Kansas losing here. I don't think so. I think it's very close, but I think Kansas pulls this one out. Wisconsin, Auburn. Very close game. I really have no idea. Auburn plays at a very, very fast pace. Can Wisconsin keep up with it? I think they can. I think Wisconsin gets the win. On to predicting the Elite Eight. We have Gonzaga against Texas Tech. Very close competitive game. I'm going Gonzaga. Next up, we have UCLA against Kentucky, the battle of the Blue Bloods. Kentucky's too much for UCLA to handle. I don't really think they have a player that could stop Oscar Tshiebwe. Yes, they have Miles Johnson, but I think Tshiebwe's just too good. I'm going Kentucky to get the win. Next up, we have Arizona against Villanova. I've gone back and forth on this game, but I don't know. I really have no idea about this game. As I mentioned, I've gone back and forth. Competitive game. If Villanova can hit their three-pointers and play good defense, as they did, they played amazing defense against Creighton in the Big East final. I'm going Villanova to get the upset and advance to the Final Four. And the last game of the Elite Eight before we get to the Final Four, we have Kansas against Wisconsin. Very, very close game. I think Wisconsin gets the win here. And they knock off Kansas. So in the Final Four, we have Gonzaga, Kentucky, Villanova, and Wisconsin. So on average, the sum of the seeds in the Final Four is about 11. For me, it's 8, so a little bit under. But I think, usually because there's just a Cinderella team that comes out of absolutely nowhere. Loyola Chicago is a good example. UCLA last year. I'm not saying there's not going to be a Cinderella team. I just think there's so many good teams this year. Just a ton of them that I don't see most of these teams losing. I don't see these teams, these four I have in here, losing before the Final Four. So, in the Final Four, we have Gonzaga, Kentucky. Great game. Very interesting to see in the front court with Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme for Gonzaga against Keon Brooks and Oscar Tshiebwe for Kentucky. So really, Sheboy is just really dominant. I think Kentucky gets the win here to play the winner of Villanova against Wisconsin. I think it's a very, very close game, but I think Wisconsin does get the win, setting up a showdown with Kentucky in the championship game. Very close game. I think Kentucky gets the win, winning the national championship this season. So, here's the bracket, my final bracket here. So there's my 5 national championship contenders are 1 Gonzaga, 2 Kentucky. I think Wisconsin could win the national championship. So there's 3, Kansas 4, and Arizona 5. So those are my 5 national championship contenders. So now, my top 5 Cinderella teams. So, and I'm going to go with the Cinderella of, I'm not sure, but I'll go with my top 5 sleepers for this one. My top 5 lower seeds I think could win a higher seeded game. So, I think, and I'm not going to include 8-9 matchups. So I think Rutgers, Notre Dame, I think the winner of that game could definitely defeat Alabama. I think Michigan could upset Colorado State. Loyola Chicago over Ohio State, as I have that one happening. I think San Francisco could upset Murray State. I don't think they will, though. And then we have Iowa State over LSU. So those are my 5 sleepers for the first round. So, before I end this video, I do want to tell you guys something. So, I have made a group in both NCAA.com and ESPN.com for the bracket challenge. So like a group where you can submit your brackets, and then the winner of both groups will get a shout out on my channel. So I'm just going to show you guys how you can get to this to the group. So you're going to go click on March Madness Live here on NCAA.com. Then you're going to go play, then Men's Bracket Challenge. Then click on Create/Join Group. And then it says My Group up here, Super Sports Central. So you're just going to go down to Search. And then just search for Super Sports Central, and it'll come up. Then you just click on the group. And then you could hit Manage Brackets, and then you just select the one you want to put in. And for ESPN.com, or I don't know why I said ESPN.com, for ESPN, you go to the home of the tournament, men's tournament challenge. Then you go to My Groups, and then create or join a group. And then you go down to search groups, and then you just search Super Sports Central. And then you just click join group. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. And I will see you tomorrow on Tuesday for sports news. Let me know in the comments who you have winning the national championship, and if you fill out your bracket on either ESPN or NCAA.com, make sure to join the Super Sports Central bracket group, and the winner will get a shout out on the channel once the tournament has concluded. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know who you have winning the championship, and go join the bracket group.